This is For the Future, by the Future, a panel series dedicated to storytelling of creatives across industries, entertainment, including film, photography, fashion, beauty, etc. I'm very honored to be here with you guys today. And just to give you some more context on today's panel in particular for day one, ladies first, day one of our For the Future, by the Future series. It will consist of transparency and storytelling from individuals who identify as women who are confidently taking up space across the lanes of fashion, music, photography, marketing, and blogging. These women represent what it means to design and create experiences through their craft and ideation while creating access for themselves and others from the boroughs of their own community to the international level. These amazing women will not only highlight their individual perspectives around what it's like to be overbooked, potentially overlooked, and the beauty in between, inspire anyone in the community to step into their bag with or without a cosign. I'm happy to announce our panelists today as well. Let's introduce everybody one by one. Let's start with Clarissa Ford, the founder of TMM Blog. Hey, Clarissa.
Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you? What's poppin'?
I'm nervous, but I'm here. I'm ready.
Where are you based?
So I am currently in the Bronx, New York.
Okay, cool. And let's go next with Kat Mateo. And she works in styling and casting. What's poppin', Kat?
So I'm Kat, stylist and casting director, and I am in Jersey.
Cool. Very cool. And next, I want to introduce Imani, an artist and fashion designer.
Yes, I'm Imani, and I am based in Philly.
Fire. And Naila, what's popping, girl?
Hey, I'm Naila, photographer director, and I'm based out of Los Angeles, California.
Awesome. So just audience, we're gonna start with a general panel and we're gonna start with the general interview. We really get into everyone's craft and their journeys, and then we're gonna get into a Q&A. And during the Q&A, you can use the raise hand feature when you want to ask a question. So before we even get into specifics, I want to know how everybody's doing. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where's everybody at today?
7, 8.
7.
Yeah.
I want to say 10. I'm excited to be here. You know, despite everything that's happening, we're still finding ways to communicate with each other and share with each other and like still find some light in darkness. So I'm gonna go with 10.
Okay, I love that. And for the 7s, what's making today a 7? And what can make today a little stronger?
I probably said 7 just because it's not as sunny outside today. It's kind of gloomy. But overall, I think it's good. I feel like for me, business is picking back up, so quarantine kind of ending. So yeah, that's why I said 7. You like
Ending.
right?
Yeah, you too, Nye. So what's your 7?
Same. Going on in the world, I'm still excited and I'm optimistic, looking forward to everything to come. But I can't lie and say I'm just at 100%. I think that's okay to say that too. So yeah.
And being a woman too, I know this week has been heavy for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
How have you guys been checking in on yourselves, taking space for yourself?
Meditation.
Yeah.
What was the question, Sydney?
I was asking Nye, how are you, just with, especially this week has been so heavy, how have you been making space for yourself?
I listen to a lot of music. Like music is just therapy. I've been using this app called Balance to meditate in the morning. Yes, and just little things like that, talking to my friends, having things to laugh about and look forward to. That's what's getting me through every day these days.
I think meditation is something that's so important for everyone to really just find their center. And that definitely gets into my first question for you guys. what's been making you ladies feel present creatively, and where do you look to find your center?
I'm gonna say just my tribe of people, like my tribe, knowing that I'm not the only one dealing with this, it kind of gives me a little bit more peace. We're all trying to figure it out together. And it's just me being a photographer, it's still so much to capture, and it's kind of therapeutic for me to like document the journey of everything going on, vlogging, and just vlogging for myself, not even to upload anywhere, but just to have and look back and reflect on it later on.
Definitely. How about you, Kat?
With me, honestly, it's really meditation. I use actually Headspace. I don't know if you guys have used it, but that's my opinion. But yeah, meditating, honestly, at first I feel like I struggled trying to get back into it because I was on it heavy when the world was happening, and then when it paused, it was kind of like too much in my own head, and like finding the balance and like knowing when it's okay to kind of just like do nothing. And like that's something that I had a really hard time with, was doing nothing, because being a freelancer, you're always looking for that next thing. You're in the middle of other stuff, and automatically you're like still thinking about the next 3 things that you can line up. So for COVID to force us to kind of like be here and be one with ourselves is kind of like something, yeah, it's something that I never cared to do or thought it was important until now. I mean, I'm still like trying to figure out what that looks like at home, but before I feel like I put so much weight on work that's how I consider my self-worth in a sense. And now I feel like I'm being forced to pull all that back and being like, wait, there's things here. What are your hobbies outside of work?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's been challenging for sure. But I feel like as of today, like this is like the brightest I've felt in a while. So I had to give it a 10 for how I feel today.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, we've been fighting to like get out of the hole, okay? Like, so gotta make it work. But
how about you, Imani? How do you feel present?
Um,
Present creatively.
I feel like in the beginning stage of being isolated, I was kind of stagnant. But then I seen like so many people taking advantage of the time. Like so many people became millionaires within the past few weeks. I'm just like, wow, I gotta work harder. So I was like, let me just get back in my zen. I started listening to, I don't use meditation apps, but I use YouTube. I listen to like Viola Davis, Taraji P. Henson, like different Black women stories that like started from literally nothing and just rocked it. So I just took that moment like, yeah, I mean, I've already been doing my business, but here's a time where it kind of, it's like, it's back to beginning stage where I have to find a new way to market because everything's closed. So I just was like coming up with different creative ways to keep pushing content to people and reaching people even though they were at home.
Love that. Clarissa, have you been feeling present creatively?
Honestly, just meditating, basically what everybody else said. I think just like everybody else said, and stepping away from social, because I think that when everything starts to happen with the pandemic and police brutality and all of that, I think that everybody is on edge and everybody wants to have hot takes and I think that sometimes you got to step away to find like a temporary peace of mind. Also seeing videos of people who look like us being killed, you slowly start to become desensitized, and it's just too much. So I feel like meditating and learning when to get the heck off social media has been able to like help me be grounded and help me be more present with family and friends, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love that. I think what's dope about all your explanations is everyone's learning that, okay, to really silence out the noise, we have to tap into ourselves. I think to build any career and make any career sustainable is like making sure yourself is good first. So I love all these check-ins. What would you guys say is your morning routine?
Honestly, I'm gonna be
Your morning
honest.
routine at your best. Let's say at your best. At your
Listen,
At your best.
What's your morning
at
routine?
my best, I'm waking up, I'm working out, I have a hand on my day. However, I'm a night owl.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Yes,
So
yes.
I'm not gonna front and be like, I'm like, honestly, like I get my best ideas like in the middle of the night. There's been times where like
Same.
I have to jump out of bed before the
3
thought
a.m.
escapes me. So I'm trying to be a morning person. I am. If y'all got any secrets, please tell me. Like I've been trying, but the night time is just a little different for me. Like,
Okay.
Technically, you are a morning person. You're just 3 a.m. 2 a.m.
Right.
true. I like that.
Perspective.
I like that.
Love that. What about some other morning routines?
I mean, I would agree, honestly. I feel like my best work happens at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. I usually wake up in the afternoon, so I don't really have a morning routine. I eat breakfast in the afternoon.
Right.
But my perfect morning, the days where I do wake up early, you know, my skincare routine, listen to like some jazz music or classical music. That's my thing. And that's pretty much it. Nothing too fancy.
So if you start your day that way, what does your typical rest of your day look like? So if any of you guys want to jump in with a path of how your day would typically go on one of your best days, how would be?
One of the things that is constant for me throughout the week, no matter what I'm doing, I do try to do at least one thing that will fuel my creative vibe, whether it's like listening to like specific kind of music or something that I wouldn't listen to like on the regular, or documentaries. Like I'm a big documentary person. Or just going through one of my old magazines. Like I need to, or like just literally logging off of social media and like going into Pinterest. Like I need to see something different other than what we've been getting feed constantly. So that's the one thing that I can say it's consistently throughout my days, no matter how late or early I start them, is keeping that one thing that keeps my creative for sure.
Just keeps it going.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ryan?
For me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the early person that's up late at night. I'm like a senior citizen. I get up at 6 a.m. and I'm like trying to be the first person at every place. But outside of that, it's important for me to be outside a lot because it inspires me for directing. Like I like to people watch. Like I literally will bring my laptop wherever it is that I'm going and just pay attention to everything that's going on around me, have conversations with random people. They tell a little bit about their story. Like I just love stuff like that. Outside of that, I don't try and focus on just photography. Like most people know me for just a photographer, but like lately I've been getting into producing, like making beats, and like eventually want to do my own films and be able to do the music scoring for it and stuff like that. So I don't focus on like, I just gotta do photography, I just have to edit. I just do different things, like whatever feels good in that day. I don't really have like an agenda outside of doing my emails, but everything else is just kind of like free flowing for me.
Right. Has it been hard for you all to find structure within quarantine to keep your business afloat? Or has it been easier being kind of confined to the crib to get your ideas off?
I feel like with certain things closing, what made it hard was getting certain things. Like for me, it was a point where like my paint supplier closed down in LA. So I was like going crazy, like sending them emails like, when are you guys gonna open it? I had to find like someone else who had like a similar paint on Amazon, and that still took a long time. So it was like low-key kind of depressing not having that specific paint that I use all the time for my products. So that was one thing. But other than that, I feel like just like everybody else was saying, I get up early and I just like focus on getting some orders out, going to the post office, stuff like that. But other than that, I think just things shutting down, which made the structure kind of messed up.
For sure. Clarissa, how has being inside affected your blogging? And
It's been difficult because January I decided that I wanted to have our first event, and it was amazing, and it was supposed to happen March 21st, which is the week that they were like, okay, no large gatherings, and I was like, okay. I had to contact the venue people. I had to figure it all out. Then, of course, naturally, people would want their refunds and all that. So I feel like I had to mature overnight as a businesswoman. Like, okay, I never had to deal with cancellations this big before. You know, like we were supposed to have a panel. How do I tell everybody, hey, it's no longer happening? All the people who bought tickets, it's a lot. But I learned how to adapt. That's kind of been the word that I've been holding on to the whole time. So every time something goes left, I'm like, all right, Clarissa, you have to adapt. You know, all right, you can't print a shirt, but how are you going to adapt? You can't go out and like rent a studio and shoot. So how are you going to figure this out, you know? So I just been trying to adapt.
I love that line because I think that's what this whole space we've been in has really taught us. We honestly have to really just control what's in front of us. So it's really trying to keep that same. And that kind of ties into the next question I was thinking about, which is when you look towards your future, what gives you hope?
That there's just endless opportunities out there. Like there's no cap. There's nobody that can tell me like, oh, this is like what your pay will be after this many years, or this is what you will be like. It's no cap, and that's what I look for. And just working with my people and seeing where everything goes.
How about you, Kat or Imani?
The thing that gives me hope right now is honestly everything that's happening right now. As a creative and a freelancer, I just love to see us demanding more from these publications, from these brands. Just kind of like, you know what, like we're done, like, you know, just being at a minimum. Like if you want to use us, like integrate us into your business for real this time, you know, like
for real.
So I feel like that's what's giving me hope right now, because it's gonna open up all these opportunities, hopefully. I mean, I'm ready for my second, the fear part of it, because that's where it goes into after that for me.
That's the next part of my question. So
I know. That's what I'm like. I'm trying to get ahead of myself, but it's just like it's awesome to see people really, you know, putting these brands on the like, hey, it's either y'all really gonna hire us or like y'all gonna keep making the same mistakes and losing money. So it's just like you might as well let us in, let us have a voice, like let us tell you what really is and what really isn't. Like,
yeah, I feel that. Imani, Clarissa.
I think
I'll let you go.
I think like back to what I kind of said earlier, just seeing so many people, like it got to a point where it was people really just starting their business during quarantine. So just seeing so many people get on board and then they having success within it, like, and then with the whole movement going on at the moment, a lot of people are more open and wanting to support Black businesses more. So I just feel like a lot of people are just thriving at this time, and it's like really dope. And like to see that, I'm just like, yeah, I gotta keep working harder, because it's like everybody's growing, and I feel like that like inspires me to definitely keep getting up. Because I just think Black wealth is really important, especially just having something left like for generations that you know you had touch on while you were here.
I think what gives Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect.
I think what gives me hope is just when I think about all the lives that I could impact with my platform. You know, I always say that my motto is I aspire to inspire before I expire. So when I think of all the possibilities that I can use with my platform, that gives me hope. You know, when people reach out to me and say, you know, I saw your platform and I found somebody who looked like me or who dressed like me, like stuff like that gives me hope. Like just knowing, like, you know, reassurance, just knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That's what gives me hope.
So if we could transition then on the flip side, what gives you fear? Vulnerably, if anyone's comfortable, what doubt has this time really given you?
Can you repeat that?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's the hard part about Zoom, y'all. It's like, I don't know.
Right. Like my connection was like,
right.
Whoever wants to start first.
I have a fear that it's weird. I've been like, oh yeah, I'm taking advantage of the moment, but then it's like I don't kind of want it to be over because I feel like I feel good being paused where I can focus on all the things that wasn't right within my business as far as like communication or like just how I do certain things. Because yeah, I'm good at the creative part, but I'm still learning business. So it's like just being able to focus. So I'm trying to make sure I'm taking advantage of all this time. So then it's not like when it's over, then I'm like, dang, I could have been working on that when I was on pause.
True. I think that's such a human feeling too, Imani. Like, because everyone's coming out with content pieces, all that kind of stuff right now. It's like, am I doing enough? Or am I doing what's best for me? That flux is so constant. I think now you were gonna say something.
Yeah, mine is a little bit different, but I guess my concern is like I know we're pressing a hard line for all these like brands and businesses to put out statements and stuff like that, but I want to make sure like it's actually meaning something. The people that are really controlling this are really feeling this, and not just okay, let me throw this out there so that we can still keep getting money and then they'll still keep buying. Like I want it to actually impact them how we're impacted on the daily, and that they actually feel it and not just a okay, let me hurry up and shut everybody up type of thing. That's what I worry about, because that's what really matters, because they can shut us up temporarily and make the statement and it look nice, and then everything go right back to what it was.
Right.
So piggybacking off that, agreed. Like that's one of my fears, you know. We already have to be like underdogs, and like this is the time where we're actually putting the spotlight on it and like trying to hit it head on. But as soon as the spotlight dims a little bit and then the next thing happens and the world just goes back to normal, what are they really gonna do? Like, are they really gonna, you know, keep the promises of like
gonna change?
Exactly. So it's just like that is a fear, because you know here we are finally thinking that we can work towards something real this time, and the companies are just like saving face to save money. So it's just like, you know, gotta hold them accountable and put our dollars where people are really trying to give us what we deserve, you know.
Can I make a side note? I seen a post about, I think Sephora, I'm thinking it was, and they said they were going to open up 10% of their shelves to like Black-owned business. And I'm like, why couldn't it be half? The 10%, that seems so small to me.
Right. And I just
some of us can see.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like some of us can see right through what some of these brands are doing. We can see right through the shenanigans.
Right.
We see it. You know, we ain't just come out yesterday. We've been around for some years. So all of a sudden, you know, you feel the pressure, you know, the fire lit up under you to do certain things. Just like, all right, we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
But it's up to us to hold them accountable too, like spending our money where we are wanted. Like, I love Starbucks, okay? Like, I am an addict. But let me tell y'all, I've been drinking Dunkin' Donuts because they tripping. So, look. Seriously, like, really know where to put our money.
Mm-hmm. And just piggybacking off of a lot of white companies trying to take what makes us special and unique from us and trying to reprofit off of that now, because the times has become super rampant. So with my next question, I want to really ask you guys to really highlight what what you believe your individuality is and what your value proposition is. And if you wouldn't mind, while answering the question, highlighting again what you do, what your platform is for those who may not know in the audience. Start with Nye.
I'm gonna say as a photographer,
and your value.
Say it again.
Defining your value proposition and what makes you an individual.
For me, being a photographer, I think it's just me shooting content that is super organic and real. Sometimes, like, people want to do these like which the editorial and done up photo shoots are amazing, but I love going into the communities and shooting what's exactly happening. Like, I would go to Watts projects, volunteer on the Saturdays. I wouldn't tell people I'm shooting, just going, just like capturing regular vibes and stuff so that everybody can see what's going on in day-to-day lives and not just the glamorized version of it either. So I think people are like, they like my content and are attracted to it because it's relatable, and it makes the people that not necessarily feel like a model, which people are like, I'm not a model or anything. I'm like, that's fine. Like, I just want to put out like stories to everybody, and like, I don't know, kind of like a Black Renaissance is what my work is to me. So that's where I feel like I stand. It's just kind of relatable work.
Definitely. Kat, what would you say your value proposition is in your creativity?
Honestly, I feel like I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by people who constantly put me to the test. Whether I knew I wanted to be in the creative world or not, I always knew that I loved performing arts. Like, I used to be a dancer. So like, I always knew that I loved visual arts somehow. And that led me into finding myself and being like, well, I want to style. It's interesting too, because all the things that I've ever wanted to do kind of found me versus
I
me
love that.
finding like what I like. It just kind of, I was like, oh, okay, this is it. That's what it looks like for me. But I don't know. I just feel like I really always ask myself the right question. Like, okay, do you really like that? Or do you see that and like makes you want to do it a little bit, but what will make you feel like this is really something you can do? Like, just putting on different hats and seeing which one fits, and, you know, in better way to put it. But I feel like I've just always listened to myself, honestly.
You trust your gut.
Yeah, and just went fully for it. Like, okay, I'm working for free for X amount. I'm interning here. I'm doing this. Like, so throughout all of that, I've always remained true to myself because I always asked myself the right question. So I was never following a pack or trying to be like with this group or here. It's just like, this feels good. I want to do it. Let's see how far we can go.
All right, Imani, what would you say your value proposition is?
I kind of like what Kat said. Like, I feel like that's me, like, just doing what I want to do rather than what the masses is kind of do. I'll create stuff sometimes that I like, but back to, what's her name again? Is it Naya?
Naya, yeah.
Naya, okay, yeah. When Naya was saying, like, going into the community, I use my artwork to channel, like, things that mean a lot to me. Like, the first, I feel like, product that I created that was like surrounding kind of like the Black Lives Matter movement was when Alton Sterling died, and I seen that video. Like, I got so angry that night, I created a hat that people could wear around and get like cops to understand how we were kind of feeling. And I've done like just different various artwork pieces where it touched based on that, or just things on how I feel, like just people understanding the importance of like from hair to like Black culture, just who we are, and appreciating it rather than seeing it in negative connotations. So yeah, and then another thing, I feel like I'm very transparent on my platform. I'll show you my good days and all my bads. Like, I feel like that's a good way to inspire people, because some people like look at other people on social medias and like, oh, their life may seem perfect, I can't get there. But I like people to see that I'm not perfect and that we're kind of on the same accord, and whatever I'm doing, you could do as well too.
I love that. And I think what unites Black women especially is showcasing what makes us human, you know? And especially creatively, that's something that always speaks volumes. Clarissa, what would you say your value is in your individuality?
I think that my value is in my story and in my authenticity. I be tripping over that word, but because, you know, I am a woman from the Bronx, you know, I have a lot of friends who are into fashion and who are into style, and I created a platform for them. But I also know what we like. I also know what's real. I also know what we dislike. So a lot of the times with these brands, you know, they don't know what we like. So I use, for an example, let's say the sneaker game. You know, I grew up around women who are sneakerheads and men who are sneakerheads. And I think that because I'm so close to the culture, I know what we like. So that's what my value is. I'm like, we don't want pink sneakers. We don't want purple. We want what everybody else likes, you know? So I think that the fact that I'm true to where I'm from and using the platform that I created, I'm able to like know what we really want, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's where my value is, because it's like I have all this information so I can get us what we want.
Definitely.
If that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. And even going further just on that topic, I think it's important as Black women to, especially day one of this panel, to celebrate our favorite parts about ourselves. It's so easy for us to be hard on ourselves and nitpick things we don't like about ourselves.
Right.
You started with your authenticity. Nine Academy Monday. Is there any qualities about yourself that you love the most about yourself? You celebrate.
I think a quality I love most about me is I'm very like caring to other people, like complete strangers. And I think by me just being that way, it allowed so many people just to gravitate to me, and I built so many like connections. Like I knew Jacana for a long time now. She hosted one of my fashion shows. She interviewed me for her blog like a few years ago. But just being open to people, I really love that quality about me because it gives me the opportunity to help people. Like although I'm a fashion designer, artist, I still want to do like a lot of humanitarian work. So that's what I just love about me.
Cool. Kat and I, any individual qualities, like one in particular maybe?
My quality, I would say, is always seeing the bigger picture. So always, like my line of work, I'm always one part of a big thing. So it's listening to what my client wants and what they're trying to represent, whether it's on the runway or, a photo studio. It always, like, I'm one little part of this huge picture, and it's all about making sure that what they want you see on that runway or you see on that editorial. So it's hard to do sometimes because someone can tell you something and you're not fully grasp what they need or what they want, especially something as powerful as a Pure Moss show. It's just like that we're hitting something on the nose. You have to know what we mean, what our message is, and it's always interesting. It's always really scary, but the end result is always amazing.
For sure, and I'll jump into some individual questions as well. Kat, I'll start with you. After doing the casting for Spring Summer 2020 Pure Moss show at the King's Theater, you had everyone's attention last year. I know you knew that. How did you feel, and how did you celebrate that monumental moment for yourself?
Honestly, I never really like celebrate, like especially the day of. I'm just like days and weeks tired. Like, but I did go on vacation, so I always try to like reset and like go away, like let things just like be done because it's like exhausting communication. Like I was up at like I didn't sleep actually. So it's always like, okay, I need to
tell us about that day too, if you can. We love to know. Tell us about that day too, if you can.
It was crazy. I was still confirming models on my way to the venue. Like my very last confirmation for a model happened when I was at the venue and models were like getting to King's Theater. So it's like, that day is like a blur. It's like, I just remember being at the party and be like, whoa, we did it. And then woke up like the next day and was like, oh shit, like we did it. Like, so it's always, it's funny because it kind of like just goes and you go with it and like you're in a panic and then you're happy, then you want to cry, then it's over. So
yeah,
it's an amazing experience.
I feel that with the other ladies on the panel as well. Can you remember the last time you guys celebrated yourself? And so what was it for? An accomplishment, a piece of work that really transcended?
Okay. The last time I celebrated myself was when I traveled to DC and I created something called the Sneakerhead Project. And basically we would go from city to city interviewing different women who are sneakerheads. So this summer I went to DC and that was my first out of state interview where I connected, I think maybe 12 women who I've never met before, brought everybody together. And I was like, wow, I almost didn't make the trip. I almost didn't have the funds. I almost didn't do it. I almost talked myself out of it. I started to doubt myself. And then I pulled it together. And that was when I was like, you know what, this is bigger than me. I did it. And I celebrated because I was like, you know what, good things happen when you push yourself. Because a lot of the times I talk myself out of doing things. I'm like, no, I don't want this opportunity. no, I can't do it. I'm not big enough yet. I don't really have a following. Or my favorite one is nobody's gonna support me, you know, but I sucked it up. I went to DC and everybody was excited. So I think after that, I realized that, all right, this is real. You know, you need to ground yourself for a minute and like really take this in. You know, people really support your platform. So I think that was the last time, and that was the summertime. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
I feel it. Kat, Nye, last time you celebrated yourself. No, Kat, we did our Imani.
I'm like, wait, I didn't answer that. I'm like, oh.
My bad, love, Nye, and Imani.
I don't feel like I mean, I'll go out, but that's just everyday regular going out friends. But like actually doing something for myself is just like super dope. I don't know. I feel like this is probably weird, but to me, I like doing recap vlogs. Like I love when I'm putting it together and when I get to show everybody what I was doing, kind of. I feel like it's a way of celebrating, like how I created an art piece or how I did like Fashion Week in New York, like just different, showing people what they can't see. I feel like that's a way to celebrate me because that's something that's always going to be, you know, on the internet where people can see it like years from now.
It's important to celebrate yourself. Nye?
I'm going to say when I decided to start throwing events last year, and I was kind of scared to do that as a photographer. I was like, are people going to show up for me? Like, blah, blah, blah. But I felt like when I was able to pull that off, I didn't really care about how many people showed up. I just wanted to make sure everyone that did come, like, had an amazing time. I'm not really big on clubs because LA club culture is interesting. And so, yeah, being able to pull that off and celebrate with everybody was like a celebration for me. Like, it just felt like it was like a big family cookout. So that was my celebration.
Dope. Cool. Clarissa, when did you fall in love with your own personal style?
I think that I would have to say 2009. 2009 was the year that I graduated 8th grade, and I was getting ready to go into high school, and somebody told me that high school is where you find yourself. So I dedicated that summer into finding what my style was so that I could kind of go into high school already knowing who I was. And back then, and we had Tumblr. You know, so you had all kind of inspirations, and I was searching, and then I gravitated to somebody who spoke to me, like on a higher level. And you guys know her as Tiana Taylor. So after that, I was like, oh, I don't have to be a girly girl. Oh, I can embrace my big hair. And I think that was when I realized, like, all right, you know, that was a confirmation that I needed to be like, you know, I'm not weird. I'm just different. And there's somebody else who looks like me out there. So I would say 2009 was when I guess, not just fell in love with my personal style, but I had a chance to, like, I don't know, embrace my personal style. Yeah, did you ask a question after that, or was that the only one?
I had a follow-up for you too.
Okay, there we go. I was waiting for that one.
You described the moment that really cemented it for you. But as you evolved throughout high school, how did you really highlight your style and make that your signature?
I don't really, you know, high school was such a blur, but, you know, I'm telling you, Tumblr was it back then. So like, if you know, you know, and
Nine Cat, Ronnie,
Yep.
I was on Tumblr, heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, Tumblr was great for inspiration, photography. It was good for music. It was a good time for fashion, and I think that was back when you couldn't talk about it. You know, people who were on Tumblr was like, oh, you can't talk about it. It was a secret. Like, that was like a way to connect with other people that look like you and stuff. So using that over the years, I got inspiration. And then I really started to buy magazines and started to, get inspiration. Then I found Pinterest, started to get inspiration. So,
Yeah,
I
Pinterest
mean,
was it for me. Mm-hmm.
Pinterest, I mean, I don't know, man. I just use so many different things for, I guess, solidify my style and embrace it. And I guess, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So for everybody, I know Clarissa pinpointed a day that really cemented for her that her passion can be her signature, something that really she can profit off of. Can you guys remember the first day you realized that your passion would be your moneymaker?
I got a story. So my sophomore year in college, was it my sophomore? Or was my junior? I think it was my sophomore year. It was the summertime, like I just had sophomore year. So I started working at Dunkin' Donuts. This is like my first job ever. And I like was there. Huh?
I said, so East Coast of you.
Right. So I'm at Dunkin' and I'm just like, they got me opening 5 a.m. I'm there, and again, I created that hat, and I really just did it because I wanted people to grasp the message. So I was painting people's hats like free. And then a lot of people was like, well, I'll pay for it. So like my tweet went viral and I made like $5,000 off the hat in like one day. I was like, you know what? Let me tell my manager I'm about to quit because she was about to be. And then from there, because I used the tweet going viral to add my other products in, like starting my jackets, just everything. And then from there, I like just shot up on Twitter. And I was like, you know what? I was studying law in school. I'm like, I'm not even gonna go to law school. Like, I'm gonna do this. I know it's profitable. I know I can like really push my art far. So I was just like, yeah, this is gonna be it.
How about you, Kat?
For me, I feel like I was always doing it without knowing I was doing it. So I was fortunate enough that at home, like in Jersey, like I had friends who, one was a photographer, the other one was a model. So I'm just like, well, I don't want to design clothes or anything, but I want to style. So we would have 14-hour shoots. We would put our money together, and like if we saw a hotel that we thought was super dope, we're like, okay, let's book a room so we could like take shot. Like we were doing like call sheets and all this other stuff, and we didn't even know that existed until I started working at a magazine, and I was like, hold on, I've been doing it the right way this entire time. That's crazy. Like it's crazy when you have those moments and you're just like, life really comes back full circle, because you're just like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like it's insane. Like I was very lucky to have friends who like was just like, yeah, fuck it, like let's do it, let's do this together, let's like figure out, let's see how far we can go. Like my friends were like so close. I would be like, yo, let's do this and let's do this, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like we all just chipped in and made it work. Like, so it's interesting that things that you thought you were just playing with end up being the things that you do for
right
work. And you can, had I known earlier, I feel like I would have concentrated on that a bit more. I would have probably tried to work at a magazine earlier. Like I didn't know that was a thing. You know, career day, especially in urban schools, are like policeman, doctor, like that. I don't know. And none of those things ever resonated with me. So it was cool to have my friends to like kind of like, well, let's like forget about all these things, because we could be exactly who we want to be. And we just made it work. That's
so dope. I feel like it's so hard. I mean, not hard, but it's rare to get in groups like that. Like,
yeah.
Like my high school, at least, like I was super bullied. Like I didn't have school. I went to like a school where I didn't have any friends, so I didn't have a group to really connect with and do what made me passionate in my school.
I mean, I always knew I was very lucky.
Yeah,
like, for sure. Like to be able to be around like-minded people, and like especially not in a hub where it's like New York, you can run into that person. It's like, girl, I see you, you see me. You know, we have the same ideas. We can like make something happen. Like it was just like alignment. Like my friend Dawn said in the chat, the Zoom chat. But yeah, like for sure, it's insane. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. How about you, Nye?
I guess the moment I realized was I used to be in the military. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, And it was the most dreadful 4 years of my life. And I just remember like being at work every day, like, man, like I'm spending 40 plus hours a week being fake busy at work and, you know, being talked to any type of way. And I was just like, I used that time when I was at work, like I worked in a cubicle to just start doing research on how to edit, learning color theory, all this stuff like that, and how to translate like women with my skin color on like film and stuff like that. And I remember I started shooting my friends, same thing. Like I just started meeting like people I was living in the Bay Area at the time, didn't know anybody. And so I was just like literally going on hashtags on Instagram, like at all like the cool spots in Oakland and like looking at all the people that were there, reaching out. Eventually I started shooting them. And I realized like this is what I wanted to do because I was driving every day after working 12-hour shifts to go to the studio, even if it was just for an hour, and I just loved it. I wasn't getting paid at the time. And eventually I started getting paid for shoots, and I was making more with my shoots than I was like a week worth of shoots was like a month worth of pay in the military, and I was dreading the military. So I was like, if I can do this, make my pay in a week, and I'm at work working way more than 40 hours a week, like I could do this. Like, so me getting out of the military was kind of hard because people were like, come on, you can do the 20 years, you're gonna get this check for life. And I was like, it's not worth my mental health. It doesn't fulfill me. Nothing was feeling good. So like me being like taking that risk and being able to get out and like, hey, even if I make a little less temporarily, I know in the long run it'll come back full circle. That was like the best moment like for me. Right. So getting out of the military was a turning point for me.
I love that. How supportive were your parents in you doing or you choosing your creative path? And when I say support, you can choose support in emotional, mental, or financial, depending on however you want to answer it.
For me, they were like, you're going from the military to be a full-time photographer, Naila, come on, that doesn't make sense, like at first, until they saw like, hold on, she moved into her own apartment off photography. She got her own car off of photography money. They was thinking different. So they on board now. They understand it. And, you know, the thing is, though, it was different from them when they were growing up. So they're only trying to protect you. Like, even though we feel like they're not supporting you, they don't want you to, like, you know, fail. So they're like kind of scared, and they're only doing things the way that they know it until they see how it works for you now in the current times and climate. And then they, you know, they start supporting you more. That's how my parents were. But they fully support everything I do now. And my mom's the first one to be supportive now. So I'm thankful for that.
I love that. Moving on, Kat, talking about support for our Black women. How did you feel supported in the early stages of your career, or were you supported?
Honestly, I feel like my mom still does not really fully grasp what I do. Like, I mean, I invite her to all my shows, and like, she doesn't get it. Like, and I've kind of like made peace with that. Like, sometimes they're just not gonna get it. She just knows that I have never had to ask her for money, and that's like, okay. But sometimes she hits me with the, why can't you be a lawyer? Why can't you do this? And it's just like, you know what? I was the first one out of my family to graduate college and like do it my way. And I'm just like, you know, I think I did enough to like make you happy. Now I have to make me happy. And like, I just kind of like leave it at that because she's never going to understand. Like, I've like literally sat her down and like made her watch a show and like watched her watch the show. And she's just like, I don't know. I don't get it. Why is this such a big deal? And I'm just like, okay.
Do you think her response is due to the fact that she doesn't understand that creative world, or she wants you to be doing something different?
I think she just doesn't understand. I think it comes from a place of like, I never knew that this was a job, and like, you're doing just fine doing this, but like, I don't get it. It's like that. I don't think it's like, oh, you chose the wrong career path. I think it's like, I just don't understand what you do. But once I put it in the umbrella of like, it's marketing at the end of the day, she's like, okay, I get it. Because I went to school for business marketing. So to her, I was just like, oh, okay, you're using your degree. All right. What? Like, not necessarily. Like, so it's an interesting relationship when it comes to my career and what my mom grasps from what I do. So I'm just like, I've had that I've sat her down, had the conversation. She still doesn't get it. So it's just like, and that's fine.
Right. I want to even stay on that topic. The school conversation. I know this affected me, at least growing up, but how important was the decision to go to school or to not go to school in determining the success of your career?
Well, for me, I feel like I always knew what I wanted to do, but I always knew that I wanted to finish college.
Where'd you go?
Specifically for my mom, William Patterson University.
Okay, cool.
And I'm like, I want to do this thing like for my family. Like, here's this thing that none of us have been able to do yet, whatever the circumstances have been. And it's just something that I would love to do for my mom to make her feel proud, because that's something that she can grasp. So I always knew that she was never going to fully understand what I do, but by going to school and like really like applying myself there, I feel like she's like, okay, you know what? She can do whatever she wants. Like, she went to school, she graduated. Like, I can't ask more than that. So like that to me was kind of like the thing that I had to do to make her proud. But then I had to do this thing to make myself proud, because I was never like money driven. I've always been, money's nice, but my passion was always like number one for me. Like, I wanted to wake up every day and love what I do. And like, I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. Especially my mom doesn't know what it's like to wake up on your time and be like, oh, I go to work when I log into my email. She doesn't understand that.
Right.
So it's like, it's like just a different time. So like, I have to like let her be and like take whatever she takes from it. But she also understands like, okay, well, you don't need me for anything, so you must be doing well.
Right. And it's so interesting just with parents who understand and who don't understand, because it's like the support level and then the
right
understanding is always like
but
the relatability of it. If anyone else wants to chime in too, with their parents, how supportive they were of them going to school or choosing not to go to school.
Well, I didn't go to college.
Nye, did you go? Imani, did you go?
Yeah, I did. I went to North Carolina A&T State University. I studying pre-law, and it's funny because even with that, that's the HBCU. My mom didn't even want me to go to HBCU. I feel like the older generations have this thing that like the creative path is more just so hobby based rather than it could be career. So even just probably last week, we were riding to the post office. I'm shipping her. She's like, you still could have just, went to law school. I'm like, no. I'm doing this and it's successful. Because, with people, I guess they don't even grasp how big it can be. Like within just having my clothing line, I sometimes get paid to, speak at universities, or I'll get paid to do shows. It's so much more things that can come within having, your own business and doing something that you love. Because I don't know, I just got so out of the whole law thing. I was just like, am I going to be happy every day waking up? I like what I do. Back to what Kat was saying, like having my own schedule is amazing. Like I can sleep when I want, take a break when I want, and it's comfortable. And it also makes me happy. Like when I'm going to fashion shows, I'm excited because I'm like, what shoes am I going to wear today? Like what shades I'm going to wear. So yeah, but my mom, in the beginning, it was more just hobby, but she was the person who got my business license, like patented my brand and everything. So I feel like she's coming around, she's understanding more that it is kind of growing.
See, I didn't go to college, but I've never been a school kind of girl. I'll be in the back of the classroom looking at fashion magazines. So I kind of knew like, oh, I don't really want to go, but okay, my friends are going, and I didn't want to be that only, the only friend who didn't go to college. And then I think that everything happens for a reason. And for some financial reason, I couldn't go to the college that I had applied to. And I was kind of excited. And I told my parents, like, look, for what I want to do, it's not really about what school I go to. It's really who you know. So the time that I didn't go to school, I took up internships. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you can't teach me to have the eye. You either have the eye or you don't. So I'm going to take my eye and intern at these showrooms or these fashion magazines to learn what I need to learn. Now, am I thinking about going to school in the future? Probably, but I think that not going also helps build some type of character, you know, like going straight into the field. That was kind of my school, you know, seeing how these people act in the showrooms or learning how to pull clothing or learning how to be behind the scenes, you know, I learned more than I feel like I could have learned being in front of a chalkboard.
Hell yeah.
Right.
No, that's fire. Because like you were letting real life experiences define what made sense in your head and the path you wanted to do. What do you say for those who chose not to go to typical college? Were you allowing validation for yourself to be most important, by how you looked at yourself, or how other people were viewing your decision? How are you validating yourself?
That's in general.
Yeah, Nye, Clarissa.
I don't really understand the question.
Yeah, let me reword it. Cause I was asking and I was like, It makes full sense. When you're validating yourself, are you really focused on how you're personally defining yourself? Or sometimes do you allow the opinions of others to affect how you're validating yourself?
No, I mean, I just have my own. I know that for me, my favorite quote is the sun and the moon both shine just at different times. So what they're doing is amazing and they can shine and I can still shine on my own accord and do my own thing. So I just focus on what I'm doing and what I have going for me. And that's just really it. I don't really pay too much attention outside of my like close circle. And even then, like we give each other advice, but it's never like, no, don't do this. It's like, hey, if you do this, think about this, blah, 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 and list X, Y, and Z. That's kind of where we're at. So, yeah.
I'll be honest. Like I said, I've never been a school person, so I was excited when I didn't have to go. But I'll be honest, I'll say not going to school kind of affects me when I see people who I went to school with. Like, it gets to me graduation season. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, dang, they have like something that's like tangible to be like, look at what I accomplished. When being a creative, you don't have that. You know, you create to create, but there's no graduation. There's no end. You know, when you go to college, I feel like you have the degree, and then some people go back to more school and then more school. But I think that when you're creative, your work never ends. It's like, okay, I had my first show. Okay, but what's next? You know what I'm saying? Or I did my first interview. Okay, but who's next? You know what I'm saying? And I think that sometimes I wish that I could have that kind of validation, like a paper or something tangible in front of me. But then the other days, it's like, this is the life I chose, you know? And there's no end. You know, no matter how big you are, there's always another milestone that you have to hit. So, I mean, I just learned how to embrace it even more over the years. But sometimes it kills me, like, dang, my friend got her what? Oh.
Nah, if it makes you feel better, it really don't make that big of a difference. Girl, I see it every day in my living room and I be like, okay. Like, you chose the life you chose, so don't ever feel bad about it. That piece of paper can't tell you nothing.
I mean, but then again, when I think about it, I'm like, well, I'm not in debt. So, I mean, I guess that's the trade-off, you know? Like, I mean, I saved some money. But sometimes, sometimes it's like, dang.
No, right.
Sometimes it's hard.
So, yeah, sometimes I think back and I'm like, I didn't have to really go to school to do what I'm doing. I've been creative. And I wasn't even studying that. So, and I feel like I'm at a point where I learned from that, and I'm going to give my children the opportunity to choose whether if you want to go to college, right, or you want to be a creative. If you want to be creative, we're going to start that at the age of 8, whatever age you want to start at. So it's like, yeah, I don't think college is really a mandatory. And even after college, just like how you said, what's the end goal? I always, always just setting new ones, just having as many life accomplishments as possible while you're here.
I feel that too, because just being a creative who also graduated from school, like even with my creative endeavors, I have a degree, but with the creative endeavors I do, I still feel like sometimes I'm never satisfied. There's always something else I want more. So you can have that degree, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna always want more. That's not gonna change no matter what career you even pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
whatever industry you're in, you're still gonna always want more. There's always gonna be another tick or another level you wanna exceed, you know? So I think just what you were saying, Clarissa, is so real, is just learning how to really like celebrate yourself along the way and really take it easy is like,
even if you like, to piggyback on what you said before about your parents. So my dad, and I can't speak for everybody, but my dad was born and raised in Barbados. So, and he works in the healthcare industry. He works for 1199, which is a healthcare union. That he's always like, you know, you need a job with benefits. Work in the hospital. I'm like, oh, it's not for me, you know. So that I kind of carry that attitude into not going to school. It's like, oh, it's not for me. Now, if you want to be a nurse, yes, go to school. If you want to be a lawyer, yes, go to school. But I think that when it comes to being creative, you can take classes, you know, get some type of like certification and stuff, but you don't have to. You know, if you want to be a photographer, I think you can shadow photographers. You want to be a model, you know, visit the set, or, you know, there are other ways to learn. So I try to tell that to the younger young ladies that I meet, that it's okay to not want the conventional route. You know, it's okay to be different, basically. So
for you, Imani, specifically, as someone who's literally painted their way to success at North Carolina A&T, was it easy to stand out with your craft while building your brand in the beginning?
It was. It happened so fast. I was just like, oh my God. Like, I think Kat was saying how a hobby turned into like something like you didn't expect, kind of. That's how it was for me. Like, and I think it was important, definitely, you know, being around people that look like me, because they're like, well, we just want to see you win. Even if I may not like this, I'm still going to buy it just because I want to see you win. And that helped, because, you know, even if people didn't buy, they were just hyped to tell their friends about the brand. And I sometimes think, because my mom kept pressuring me to go to either like Penn State or Pittsburgh University, and they were predominantly white schools. If I would have went there and started my brand there, would it have been where it's at today? I don't think so. I think I would have had probably a slower process, but I think my college experience definitely helped the brand, because there was so many people around me that I could market to every day basis, just getting up. I would do pop-up shops in front of the library, pop-up shops in front of the CAF, like just different places. I would always try to collab with organizations to do fashion shows, like small, just little events, even panels, just to get the brand out there.
Visibility.
Yeah.
And how about with everyone else? How was it building your brands, and what keys and what did you guys really utilize to get your brand out there?
For me, it was just always being available, like always being ready. Someone's like, hey, Night, we have a studio session tonight. Can you pull up? Sure. Like, no matter what I'm doing, just pull up. And then also, like, I would just get my foot in the door. I would meet my favorite directors by just reaching out to them like, hey, I can do anything on set from PA to this. And if I don't know how to do it, I will learn how to do it. Like, it doesn't have to be photography. Like, I'll do whatever you guys need me to do on set. And I would just, like, pay attention and take notes. I'll ask little questions here and there on set to, like, the director. Like I shout out Dave Chappelle, you know, Bob Chappelle or whatever. And, like, I would just ask questions all the time. And, like, asking questions from your favorites adds up, and you learn a lot of stuff like that. And, like, that's just how I kind of got my foot in the door. And your network, like they say, is your network. So knowing all these people, and people always need photos for something, or always need videos for something, like, always. So it just only gets bigger, just expands that way. So being available was my biggest thing.
I love that. I think that even is just a really good piece of advice for other creatives in watching. Like, always be available.
Make it work.
Ready to answer that text. Sometimes put pride aside, because you never know next opportunity you can walk.
Right. I feel like I was always preaching that to people. Like, when people would be like, what would be your advice to like young entrepreneurs? I'm like, be open. I grew up like in Philly, and a lot of people are like more closed to themselves. It wasn't open. So then when I got down south, and it's like that Southern hospitality is like people are eager to, you know, network and connect and stuff. And I thought that was kind of important.
Yeah.
Like that's getting out there and being open to collab with people and not saying no. I'll say yes to literally everything. I'm like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, especially even in the beginning too. Like sometimes I feel like people sometimes put their pride too much in it, and they're just so focused on image and like not doing everything. When at the end of the day, you being presumptuous like that can stop you from getting a gig that can actually benefit you. So why not just look with an open eye with everything? Kat and Clarissa, how would you say you've been building your brands? What keys would you have in building that?
What do you mean, like saying, like building it? Like
when you're building your brand, there's certain things you utilize that cater to your audience. Might be Twitter, it might be certain, like trying to reach out to certain people directly. It might be the way you do your marketing.
I feel like my target market is anyone who wants to see more of us out there. You know, I feel like it's definitely the person who doesn't want the regular route of on it, like just being, oh, I'm gonna go to school and like be a doctor or whatever. Like my target market is that fashion girl who is like, okay, I want to style, but how do I do that? But then wait, can I style and like also do something else and then something else? Because before, when I first started, it was like kind of like looked down upon to like be a jack of many trades. It was always like, well, but what is that thing that you do that you specialize in? So like, I'll be scared to be like, oh, I'm a stylist because like I'm casting a show tomorrow. Like, and then I'm like, well, and I'm at the casting, and they're like, wait, so you're casting on like what else? And it's just like, okay, like I had to just own everything that I did and be comfortable owning it. So to me, is honestly anyone who wants to get in it and really work hard and like. Because I follow people who, like, at first I'm like, oh my God, like, they're so aligned with what I want to do. And then, like, I meet them and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be like that. Like, so it's just, like, it's funny because, like, throughout, like, my, like, whether it's interning or, like, working for free or, like, just assisting someone's assistants. Like, it's literally, it's ridiculous how much free work I've done. But honestly, it's the best textbook I've ever gotten. Like it just learned so much, and it's yeah, it's a path, man, and it takes so long, and you have ups and then you're down so crazy, but you just have to keep going. So for me, it's like that person who's just like trying to make it by any means and like figuring out ways to like market themselves, whether that's your website, a blog. Like my website started off as a blog, and then I realized that I didn't want to blog about my outfits. Like it's like your path takes so many turns, and it's just like, don't get discouraged by those things because it's going to feel different every day. Like you have to fight to like, okay, I'm focused. Like this is what I want to do. Got to keep like my mind set to that. Like,
yeah. And just staying on that real quick, especially now with you, I feel like you're a jack of all trades. You do so much in the creative space. Do you ever feel like you're limited or overwhelmed by all the different things you offer and bring to the table creatively? Or do you feel like sometimes you have to pick one?
I don't. At first, I know when I first started shooting, I was like, okay, everybody just knows me as a photographer. I guess that's just what I got to run with. But then I was like, why? Like, do I have to run with that because I think everybody else knows me as a photographer? Like I could be many things. And then I just started owning that. That's when I started, you know, dipping into film. And that's when I started throwing the events. And then now, like, you know, like I said, like doing the producing, like they're just like, nah, you do whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, like I just do what feels good. Like someone that said that earlier, it's like whatever's feeling good to me at the moment, whatever's making me feel inspired, because I'm not always wanting to take photos all day, every day. I'm not always wanting to direct films. Like I'm feeling different ways. So I do whatever feels good, whatever is on my mind. Like today I woke up and I was like, I don't even want to touch editing. I'm just going to practice making beats all day today and try and learn to watch tutorials. Like that's just what I'm gonna do. And I get back to, you know, editing when I feel like I'm in the space for that. And yeah, I encourage, and I think all creatives are talented at more than just one thing, like across the board. Like most of my friends that I know that are creatives, they are very talented at more than just what they do. That's just what they're known for. That's what they got highlighted for at the moment. But they do a lot of underlying things too and are great at all of them. So yeah.
And Nye too, how would you say you even implement your personality and your values into your work?
Like I'm from LA, I'm real West Coast, like everybody knows that. I love that with what I do. It's just like, this is just me. Like it's ratchet to some, it could be ghetto to some, like it just is what it is, you feel me? Like, so that's like really a reflection of my work too, and to be able to like, you know, get paid to like focus on my style of work now, because there was a moment where I was just paying the bills. So I'm doing whatever they need. You need me at a wedding, you need me here, you need me there. I'm just doing it all, and I was burning myself out that way. But once I just started focusing on me and what I do and just everyday stuff, just bringing my camera to my friends' kickbacks, parties, this, that, and the third, like that's when I really started loving it. I stopped thinking about it, and it just came full circle again, where I'm able to do where I'm at now, and like my style of work and getting paid, and people wanting to book me just for that. Like most of the emails I get now are like, yo, I want to shoot a West Coast thing in South Central and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like we can do that. You feel me? So, yeah, my personality, my work is definitely a reflection of me, like in a lot of ways. So it's like just dope to create with a lot of people that are from here. A lot of women of color is like my focus on all of my work, and it has been from the beginning. So yeah.
Thanks. And with everyone else on the panel too, how would you say being a Black woman affects your creativity and also affects your career?
I will say, as far as my creativity, I think that, I don't know how to say this the right way, but I don't have to try hard. I just feel like we come with this natural creative, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you guys know what I'm trying to say. I feel like it comes naturally. You know what I'm saying? We just have it. We set trends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We are the blueprint. I mean, and we don't study this. You know, we don't. It just is. So it's hard. I always have trouble answering that question, because it's like it just is. You know, even before I found Tumblr and all these platforms, I was in beauty pageants and talent shows, and I was a dancer and all that kind of stuff, you know, and it's just always been something that's there. And I just like, that's just part of our magic, you know. So as a Black woman, that has the biggest effect on my creativity, because it's like, do you guys know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I do. We're here.
it's hard to explain. It's like, where you get your creativity from? I don't know. We were born with it, you know. So it's hard.
This is
It's
natural.
hard.
What about everyone else? Caddy, Monty, or Nye?
Well, where I'm from and my experiences have always been the main source of my inspiration, always. And honestly, what I do, I've always wanted to see me like in these magazines. I always wanted to like look in a magazine and be like, that could be me, that could be anyone from around here. Like, and I never really fully saw that, honestly, until I got a little older, and like then streetwear became a thing. Then you started seeing Vashchi, and like then you started seeing just a little bit of representing of who you are and how you see yourself here and there. And then when I got older, I was just able to like, okay, now I'm the one who's like casting these girls that will represent, like, you know, like to see, I want a little girl to see herself and be like, yo, I can do that too. That's me. That looks like me. Like, I never felt that really. Like, Vogue never provided that. Like, in W never provided. Like, it's funny because I never saw that unless it was like an actress. And it's just like, but where's the girl that we don't know that looks bomb on those runways? We only had just a little, like a little sprinkle here and there, but then they'll be walking around with dreads on the runway. It's like, but where are our girls? Like, it's, look, touch subject, but but I'm happy that I've been able to be put in this position, and like whether I knew I was gonna do this or not, like casting, and let alone casting a full Black runway show, like I never knew that that was something that I was gonna be doing until someone put me in that position. It was like, you're doing it and you've never done it before, but here's what you do and figure it out. And it's like, okay. And then when I look at it, it's just like, that was such a powerful thing, because now we're changing the narrative. Now we're correcting it. Like, so it's, the work is very important. And now that's what it is. It's either you're going to stand with us or you're on the wrong side.
Right. To piggyback off what you just said, I think that the Black Girl Magic has an effect on my creativity. However, when it comes to the career, TMM Life started as just a platform to have all of my interviews on. That's how it kind of started, because I had something called Tomboy Chic Thursday, which is funny because I interviewed Kat many years ago.
Oh my God.
It started off as that, and it grew into TMM Life, and it just became a fashion thing. Sorry if you hear my background noise, but over the years, I started to really notice that there's not enough women who look like me on their streetwear pages. I won't call any names, but it's a whole lot of people who don't look like us occupying certain spaces that was inspired by us. So I started to make the effort to make sure that I showed more women of color, and not to spite anybody else, but it's like, okay, you got that page. You know, you're not missing out if you don't see somebody who looks like you. But let me focus on women of color right now, because when it comes to representation, we just ain't there yet right now. So I feel like noticing that and growing up, noticing all of those kind of things made me want to be very intentional with the women that I interview and pick and repost and share and things like that. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying, Kat.
It's crazy, but we're here to change that. We're all here to change that.
We're working on changing the narrative. That's why ladies first. We have the power to change the narrative. I have one last question, and I'm going to kick it off to the Q&A. I want to make sure everyone knows how to even use a Q&A feature. For those who have questions, please enter your questions in the chat room and wave your hand when you're ready to ask a question. And the last question for our panelists from me, do you all have a mentor? If so, who and how has he or she impacted you? If not, why do you think a mentor would be important?
It's funny because my mentor is actually a guy. And it kind of had like, I don't even know if he knows he's my mentor or he's my mentor. And I would definitely say it's Kirby for sure. He was actually the person who kind of made me wear so many different hats when I first started working at Paramount. Like I was doing the social media content creation, which that I was like comfortable doing. But then it was like, okay, you can do that. Now you have to shoot e-commerce. And I was like, what? How do you do that? He made me do that. Then I was like, okay, I did it. Stayed up all night, finished it. Then he was like, oh, okay, you did that. Now cast a show. And I was just like, okay, hold on. Like, I literally don't know how to even begin to do that. And he was just like, I don't care. Like, it was just like tough love, but also like get in there. Also like, this is what you wanted. Now you're trying on all these different hats. So it's just like to have someone see me and hear me and actually listen to me and what I was trying to do and what I wanted to do. Like, it's like, wow, this is cool. Even for someone to see something for you that you didn't see for yourself is like, wow, like you trusted me with that. And ever since, I don't even work for the brand on a daily basis now. It's just for the shows. And it's like, we still work together. Like and it's been years now. And I literally began with him. And it's like, I've evolved so much in my career and I still learn so much from him day in and day out. So it's interesting that someone can have that long lasting effect on you. And like, I know whenever I have a question, whenever I need anything, he's there. So it's just like, he's my mentor, y'all. He's my mentor.
I love that. I love the tough love too. I think that's really important in building
I thought it was too tough at first. I was like, oh my God. But honestly, I was like, it's cool.
Right. How about you guys, Clarissa, Imani, or Nine?
Well, I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
I don't think I have like someone that's always my go-to. I feel like I have a collective group of people where I know their opinions kind of hold weight on my like decision making. Kind of mostly like my close friends. Like we're all entrepreneurs. We all are in different fields. So I feel like if I get my opinion on a certain topic that I know they can give me insight on, I'll go to that specific one. So I feel like it's multiple ones who I can connect with and get advice from. And I like, again, meeting people. So I always, once I see like kind of how someone moves or if they're inspiring me, I like to keep in touch with them in case like I do need to reach out. Hey, could you give me advice on such and such and such? And just building that connection. So I feel like I'm just always open to everyone around me, just learning from everyone.
I love that. I think our peers are sometimes the biggest holders of knowledge, honestly, because we're experiencing things day to day, or the entrepreneurs really changing the narrative for our future. Anyone else has had a mentor or is currently seeking one and wants to share how they're looking for one?
I've never had a mentor before, but I think they're important. And that kind of goes hand in hand with like being an intern. You know, I think that mentors can help you decide if something's really for you or not, you know, before you fully immerse yourself in it. And sometimes you just need somebody to give you advice, somebody who's lived it before, somebody who's been there, who can show you the ins and outs. Because sometimes you don't want to really learn things the hard way. Sometimes you want help from somebody who's been there, who's made those mistakes, to be like, look, don't do that, or stay away from this. Or, you know, I think that sometimes as creatives, you know, even if somebody's advice isn't what we want to hear, I think that sometimes it's important to have outside people ground us. And I think that mentors offer that, you know. But I've never had one. I used to wish that I had one. I think that things would have been a lot easier, but I just chalk it up to the game. And, you know, I figured it out. But in the future, I'll probably reach out and ask somebody if they can mentor me in certain things that I've never done before. I think they're important and necessary.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for answering my questions. I'm going to give it to our audience now to ask some targeted questions that they have for everyone in particular, or as a collective. Let's start with one of the first ones. What is the end goal of all of your creative endeavors?
Anyone
have like a dream world, like endeavor, or like a 5-year kind of goal?
I want it to be like when I'm going, my artwork kind of lives on. Like people like, oh, that's a mishmash piece. Like how Basquiat was. I had seen this article back in college where I seen like one of his pieces sell for like something million. I was just like, wow, that's like so dope. So I want to make that stand where it's just people are like, you know how like say if you're at like a fancy gala and somebody like, yeah, this is the I want that type of impact. Where people are just like hyped to have that piece. Like maybe 200 years from now, people are auctioning it off and like people are bidding high amounts. Just having that impact and just leaving like definitely something behind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the same here for me. That was part of what I said for my hope, is that I hope that whatever I do is, you know, outlives me. You know, like I said, I always say that I aspire to inspire before I expire. And it's like, as long as I'm inspiring, you know, that's all I really want. I want to use the platform that I created to be able to inspire women all over the world to be their best selves. And that's all I really want, is just to make other people feel better, to make other people feel seen, you know, to make other people feel represented, you know. So I feel like my brand is my vessel, you know, to do that. But I feel like, you know, whatever it is, as long as I'm touching lives, then, I mean, that's the end game. That's the end goal for me.
I feel that. Let's get to another one. How do you navigate being a woman in a male-dominated industry?
You have to keep your wits about you, that's for sure. Like it's, you literally have to know how to maneuver in the room. You have to demand respect, like, from the very beginning. Just because if not, then, you know, it's up for them to, like, perceive what that looks like or is. But if you set the standard from the beginning, I feel like that's one thing that they can't mess with, you know? Like, it's like, when you're going to come to me, this is how it needs to be, because I'm a professional, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. I would say that it's difficult, you know, and I'm still learning. You know, honestly, I don't really have all the answers, because it's like, just when you think that you reach some type of level, there's something else, you know. And I feel like I've had difficulties because as a creative and just me as a person, I like to do everything myself. I find it very hard to ask for help. And I think that sometimes being in such a male-dominated industry, you want to ask for help, and people have their own motives, you know, and it's like, yo, I just need your help. You know, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I just need help. And I feel like that's hard, you know, to maneuver in a situation where it's like, if men are in a certain position of power and we need help from certain people who may be men, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, how do I get to where I want to go with needing help without knowing if you truly want the best for me or if you have your own type of motive? So it's difficult. So my way to kind of like just move right past it is, I guess, to work with more women, you know, because it's like, all right, I don't know where you're going to go with this, but I'm going to just work with women who look like me. And then I think that there's strength in numbers. So I could have just asked him for help and he could have gotten me there, or we could work together and get there with each other. So I just kind of work when I have to, but otherwise I just stick to my tribe, my community.
Real. Let me get to another one. Is it hard to maintain balance with career and your personal life while still remaining a hard worker and super ambitious?
Yes.
Do y'all feel like you can achieve both as a woman?
You can achieve both, but yes, it will be hard.
It's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be hard for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult.
Good one.
Yeah.
This is from Vashti. I feel like I've done all the correct things, as in getting myself out there, experience, etc. But this whole year, I've been getting a ton of no's. What methods or ways did you all get yourself out of creative slumps and stay inspired throughout adversity? I love this question.
Before you get a yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember even getting my first internship, like, I literally sent out so many resumes, so many made up portfolios from the stuff that I did with my friends. Like, I got so many no's. And even like how I ended up getting hired at Pier Mall. So one of my friends from college actually was like, hey, like, I know this guy who has a brand. I feel like you're super dope. And like, I feel like you can probably add something to the team. So he actually was like, let me take you to his office. Let's have an informal like interview kind of thing. And let's see where like we land. So like, allies are important. Like, having people who are really in your corner and want to see you win are important. And you being that person to other people is important. So don't let the no's discourage you at all. Like, you're going to literally get 100 no's before you get that yes that you've been waiting for, and it's going to be the best thing that you can possibly imagine. Like, I never thought that working at Paramount would get me here, and here I am. Like I could not see this far. So
Also, when you get a note, just create your own. Like, for instance, I would be trying to get into festivals to shoot. Nobody would have a media pass. I'd like, okay, I'll go shoot my local homies. I'll post those pictures. And then someone else from a higher scale would be like, oh, can you pull up to this show or this festival? Like, they'll work around it. Like, a lot of times people try and shoot straight from the top, but work with the people right in your circle, still do whatever it is that you're doing. And you'll be surprised at the reach that you could get just building up your, like, immediate circle of friends. And then it'll bring others to be attracted to you.
I love that. I have some reflection on this question too. I would say, honestly, it's a mental state, and just to tell yourself that it's not meant for you. A no is not necessarily a negative push in a different direction, but it's a reminder that you're only receiving what's truly meant for you. And it's paving the way for what's truly beautiful that's about to come into your life. So keep it.
Also, I want to say, Vashti, sometimes it's not a no, you know, sometimes it's not right now, you know, like maybe it's not your time to receive that blessing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like, you know, maybe I didn't get it because I gotta do something else, or maybe it's not my time yet. You know what I'm saying? And I think that sometimes that motivates me. It's just like, okay, maybe it's not a no, maybe it's just not my timing, you know, so.
Let's get to another one. Is it ever too early to seek a mentor? Do you need to have a solid portfolio resume before seeking a mentor out in the industry you're interested in? I can start with this one too. I would say it's never too early. I think when you're looking for a mentor, the first step is to have self-identity and to really know who you are and who you want to be defined as, and to know what your value is. And if you can seek someone's help by also being yourself and helping them with what you're good at and, you know, aligns with what they need, then you're in the game and you're winning. I think you'll receive a positive response. I think when you're looking for a mentor, the biggest advice I was given when I was looking for mentors was, okay, how can you be helpful to them? It's not about how can they be helpful to you. They want to help you if you want to help them, and you have ways you can envision to help them. Then it's like, that's how the free work or low paying work in the beginning starts, because, oh yeah, she's hungry and she wants to help. She doesn't want knowledge just from me. She actually wants knowledge and to build, and here's how she plans on doing that.
Yeah.
So that's
it's like you can't expect a mentor to be like, oh, like, I'm gonna make you this person. It's not how it works. Like, you have to know what you want, and sometimes along the way you end up landing somewhere you didn't think, but then it's just like, oh, this is it. Like, this is what I wanted. So it's just like knowing what you want and self-identifying that. Don't let anyone else identify you as such and such. Like, you have to know, like, you know what, this does fit me. I do like doing this. Like, that's me.
And here's a question too from Penny. What do you want the world to know about you? Take the question however each of you personally perceive it. But there's one thing you want the world to know about you when they hear your name or see your work. What is that?
I want my work to just stand the width of time. Like, I want it to be a thing that, like, people look back on and they're like, I want to be on those future mood boards. Like, I want people to be like, wow, like, oh, my entire mood board is pretty much like this person. Like, I want to be that kind of voice of, this is the person who was doing it right. Or not right, I just like the way that they did this. Like, so I definitely want to be that. I want to leave that behind for sure.
Anyone else have any particular things you want people to know about them when they hear their name or see their work?
When it came to like Black clothing lines and designers and stuff, when I was in my beginning stage, I used to be like, it bothered me that they weren't thriving how they was, say, at the certain time periods that they were like fads. Let's say like brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, they were like still going on thriving. So like, that's one thing I want it to be. I want it to be continuous, where it's always still something mainstream.
Oh yeah. Let's get into another question too from Xavier. For the entire panel, beyond social media, how do you stay on top of trends and stay in the know of what's innovative in your respective fields?
Pulling up to like all the local events, people have listening parties, this, that, and the third. I always show face, even if it's for a little bit. I just pay attention. I pull up, see what's going on, like, and that has nothing to do with social media. Like, it'll be small little events, or I'll be out and I'll see flyers for things going on in Lamert Park. Lamert Park's one of the few places left with mostly Black people there, and that's where a lot of our culture is left in LA. And so pulling up to all these places and supporting them and talking to them and listening to the history of how they were able to keep up those stores and stuff so long helps me a lot.
Definitely. If there's any advice that any of you would have for anyone aspiring to get into your field, is there anything you guys would share?
Wait, repeat that again?
Yeah. If there's any pieces of advice you would share to anyone who's looking to enter your field, whether it be styling, painting, starting a brand, photography?
I would say have tunnel vision. Don't even worry about what everybody else is doing. Just stay true to yourself and to do what you feel is right. Don't worry about what other people's posting. Don't worry about their content. Don't worry about who they're shooting with or who they're casting or what their vision is. Just stay true to your personal brand. Definitely. And that would be my advice.
And my advice would be, don't be scared of a no. Don't be scared of a door closing in your face. Like, don't be scared of falling and getting back up. Like, you know, failures are really, they're lessons. And that's something that I think I learned the hard way. I used to be super, super down on myself. Like, I just wanted to be perfect, you know, like us women, we can't afford to mess up. You know, like when we do get in those rooms, like we have to be 100 times better than anybody else sitting next to us. So like we hold that, you know? So it's just like when we do mess up, it hurts. Like, damn, okay, I dropped the ball and now I got to pick it back up and keep moving. But you don't realize that you come back up from that 10 times stronger. And you have to mentally tell yourself that, because if you focus on the failures, which I used to do a lot, they consume you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would say to be able to say no to things is some advice I would have wished I gave myself earlier. Like sometimes I would just be trying to do so many friend favors all the time, and it's like it's okay to just say no. Like I can't do it, or I don't have the mental capacity, or I literally just can't do it. Being able to say no would have saved me a lot of headaches, because going into it I knew I didn't gonna be getting anything out of it that I should have been, and it turned into a way bigger headache opposed to if I would just been like, hey, I gotta pass on this. So just being able to say no, are you gonna have to pass on the things, and recommending other people. Like people are afraid to recommend other people in their field. There's a lot of times people will reach out to me for stuff and I'm like, hey, I can't do it, but I have a and they actually specialize in this, like, or they love weddings, they love doing this, so I'll pass the work to them, and it'll still come back around. Like, and most of my friends are Black creatives too, so it's helping everybody. We're all still staying connected. So that would be my two biggest advice.
There's another question here too for Nye. I'm just now discovering my love for creating visuals. I'm almost 30. Do you think it's realistic for me to try to move to LA, even though it's an oversaturated market in the city?
I think everybody in their field feels like it's an oversaturated market because that's what you're in. So it feels like everybody around you is doing that. I would not recommend just moving to LA just to move to LA because it's expensive here. And for two, if you're able to like blossom in your city first, because a lot of people, it's like you're not even doing anything where you're at right now, and then you're trying to move somewhere else and thinking everything's just going to turn around overnight. Is not going to happen. So I would be like, take advantage of everything that you have in your city, and once you feel like you've reached the cap there, then move on. But don't just move because you're like, oh yeah, nothing's going on here, let me just move here. Like, it's not going to work like that. So it's not, though. It has nothing to do with your age, though. That shouldn't even be a factor. It wouldn't matter. If you got it, you got it. Do it.
One last question. How important is it for y'all to share opportunities with other people in your community?
Extremely.
Really go about sharing these opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely. All of my assistants are always Black and brown. Always. Like, I feel like people gave me those opportunities, and I want to make sure I'm paying that forward. Because had someone not opened the door for me, I would have never been in these rooms, you know? So I always want to pay that forward. And anyone I've ever worked with does the same. So I will feel like I'll be doing my community a disservice by not opening the door and being an ally to them. Like, we're not here to be gatekeepers, you know? We're here to, like, give people opportunities.
For real. I would say that for me too. I've been really focused on always, whenever I see gigs for any of my friends, and I know they would do it 10 times better or have a skill set or some opportunity that I know that they can highlight. I always send it their way because I feel like
Exactly.
you know, like, I always get so annoyed when people don't share opportunities with one another. I'm like, man, like, don't you want your homies to win too? Like,
Right.
But those are self issues. Like, that's like an insecurity within yourself if you don't want to see your friends win, or you are afraid that you'll be overshadowed. Like, that's a little weird to me. But
yeah. But yeah, y'all, I think this panel series is important in highlighting what makes Black people really uniquely special and what value we bring to the table. And I'm really happy. Thank you to Jacana and Nirvana for allowing me to moderate and bring me into the space to talk with these lovely women about what really makes them great and highlight them. So I'm very excited for this panel series, for everyone who's listening, who's just really getting acclimated to what For the Future, Black Future is about. It's a 3-day panel series featuring creatives across multiple fields of entertainment and really highlighting them in a way that really showcases their story vulnerably and also highlights really what they love about themselves and what they bring to the table. We also want to highlight the Loveland Foundation and the importance of mental health and remaining positive and supporting one another and really asking the questions to check in on one another during this time. I'll read the description as well so you guys can stay informed. Loveland Foundation is committed to showing up their focus on Black women and girls. Our resources and initiatives are collaborative and they prioritize opportunity, access, validation, and healing. We are becoming the ones we've been waiting for. So I want to encourage everyone to really celebrate and show up, pull up, as Rihanna says, and support one another and really be there for each other and check in. And if you are able to donate, I feel free to please donate. And just so you know a little more about Loveland as well, they offer free therapy tools, mental health tools, and yeah, support Loveland, support Black women. Thank you for pulling up and listening to our stories. We're very appreciative. And one last thing, before we close out, I want to mention, if you RSVP'd, please be sure to color in the graphic we sent and share your thoughts of the event with the hashtag For the Future, By the Future. I'll leave that in the chat for a chance to win a $50 gift card sponsored by Social Status. So yeah,
I better get that gift card.
That's free money, y'all. Get that. And again, the hashtag to share your thoughts about the panel in your story or on a post on Instagram or Twitter. Use the hashtag For the Future, By the Future. Again, my name is the homie Sydney, and I'm pleased to have done this with Nyala, Kat, Imani, and Clarissa.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I wish we had like closing music.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to get sued
bow
for
out in
anything.
the right way.
We don't want to get flagged or anything. But
I'm
wow,
pretty originally, so I wish I could play some Pop Smoke right now.
Oh, yeah.
that would actually be like really classy.
You feel me? I feel
But,
like
like,
that's the perfect end.
Nice way to go.
You know?
Yeah. This was good, guys.
Chicana,
Yeah.
part of the brains and beauty.
Nah, guys,
This is
thank
so
you.
great.
This is
I'm
awesome.
so happy you all got to be a part of this. This means a lot. I think we all needed it in some form or fashion. Ironically, this was not planned to be obviously during this such an intense climate. This was planned during COVID, when COVID was just a thing. So you know, I think timing is all for a reason. So I think that's what makes this moment even more beautiful, because I think now more than ever, you know, it's not just about COVID, but the world really needs support. And I think Black women really need a lot of support right now. So I think this is also just a really good space for us to see one another, and literally see each other, and also help each other when we can. Hopefully everybody in this chat and panel knows all the socials of everyone on here. If not, you can go back to the RSVP and see who was on this panel. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you all.
You all with you.
Bye.
Thanks
It was
so
nice
much.
meeting you guys.
Bye, guys.